A drone attack on a gas station in the Zaporizhia region. A huge flame rose into the sky as gasoline and diesel tanks exploded. This station was supplying gasoline to Russian vehicles and crews. The Russians deployed around 50 pieces of equipment for a massive assault in the Kursk region. The enemy attacks came in 6 waves, involving tanks, BMP-2s, BTRs, BMDs, buggies, and Lancet strike drones. The soldiers of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, together with adjacent units, repelled the assault, destroying enemy equipment worth tens of millions of dollars. FPV drones destroyed and neutralized Russian vehicles one by one in the direction of Pokrovsky. These vehicles were on their way to provide supplies and equipment to Russian troops. There were many armed soldiers inside the vehicles. These professional Ukrainian FPV drone pilots completely destroyed Russian vehicles: 7 passenger cars, 1 truck, ATV, a few Katsapov, 2 armored vehicles, a PC and tank, 5 more passenger cars, and many more vehicles and their ammunition were blown up or neutralized. We left 2024 behind and entered 2025. How much do you think these FPV drones have changed the course of the war? Is it fair that 500 FPV drones blow up million-dollar vehicles and tanks? The detonation of a Russian tank's ammunition supply as a result of an FPV drone strike in the Donetsk region. Last week, SBU soldiers were destroyed. 10 tanks, 33 BBM, 18 artillery systems, 4 air defense systems, and an EW, 219 vehicles, 25 UAVs, and 22 antennas, 148 fortifications, 2 warehouses with ammunition, 176 Russian soldiers. On the Eastern Front, Ukrainian FPV drones repelled Russian mechanized attacks and blew up numerous vehicles and equipment. Dozens of tanks and vehicles are blown up every day as the Russian-Ukrainian war continues at its fiercest. Russia pays millions of dollars every day for these losses. In the direction of Toretsk, tanks of the 12th Azov Brigade attacked Russian positions. In areas where artillery fire is difficult and drones are difficult to attack, the tanks maneuvered well and launched powerful attacks. The Azov Brigade has played an important role in the conflict in eastern Ukraine and has attracted international attention, both for its military achievements and ideological debates. It was established in 2014 as a volunteer militia to fight against pro-Russian separatists and was later incorporated into the National Guard of Ukraine. Ukraine's largest FPV drone debuts assault rifle combat capability. Ukraine's Queen of Hornets FPV drone has made history, being the first drone to use an assault rifle in combat. During a recent operation near Velika Novosilka in Donetsk Oblast, the drone, armed with an AK-74, played a key role in repelling a Russian armored column. Developed by the Wild Hornets volunteer group, the Queen of Hornets drone can carry up to 9.5 kilograms and perform various roles, including bomber, kamikaze, and transport. Don't forget to like the video and comment on the images. You can support by subscribing. HIMARS strikes on Russian BM-27 Uragan MLRS, BM-21 Grad MLRS, and Torn MDM, electronic warfare systems, on the left bank of the Kherson region, directed by the Shark UAV. Ukrainian FPV drone units continue to target and destroy Russian vehicles loaded with ammunition and supplies. 10 enemy armored vehicles came under barrage fire from the soldiers of the 63rd and 60th Separate Mechanized Brigades. 5 tanks and 5 BMPs, sent on a suicidal assault on Ukrainian positions, were destroyed, damaged by artillery fire, and finished off by drones. Limansk direction of the front. Drones and tanks of the 12th Brigade Azov are dismantling the occupiers, repelling a mechanized assault. Russian assault group launched an attack on the positions of the defense forces in the Toretsk direction. For the attack, the enemy used several units of armored vehicles, including BMPs and MTLBs. Operators of the strike drones from the 12th Special Purpose Azov Brigade began targeting enemy units as they approached the defenders' positions. The combat crew of the Azov Tank Battalion also joined in. The enemy continues its attempts to advance in the Toretsk direction. The Azov forces are doing everything they can to hold off the enemy and destroy as many targets as possible. In the direction of Kurakovsky, a Russian drone was destroyed in mid-air by another Ukrainian drone, a professional drone pilot. Guru of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine publishes footage of the destruction of the 1L219 Zoopark 1 radar location, northwest of Avdiivka, Donetsk region. An effective operation was carried out with FPV drones against Russian vehicles that went to help the soldiers in the region with heavily armored vehicles. An armored vehicle hidden among the trees and moving vehicles were neutralized with precision strikes. As Russian tanks and armored vehicles advanced in columns, they were shaken by artillery shelling from the 47th Mechanized Brigade. Communicating with drones, the 47th Artillery attacked Russian armored vehicles with 122mm howitzers and mortars. The armored vehicle, which panicked during the attack, went off the road and turned over. The drones provided accurate calculations and information, which enabled the artillery to strike with pinpoint accuracy. The Russian troops were dispersed and repulsed. As seen in this video, FPV drones have completely changed the course of war. It is possible to destroy or render unusable tanks worth millions of dollars with a $500 drone. Or it is possible to locate hiding soldiers and blow up a building or a hut. What are your thoughts about FPV drones? Write in the comments. A tank of the 3rd Armored Brigade fires from 2 kilometers away with high explosive fragmentation projectiles at enemy positions in Orlivka. The Ivan 2M armored car failed to protect Russian soldiers. How safe do you think it is to travel on a tank like this? What's the alternative? Ukrainian tank crews from the 17th Heavy Mechanized Brigade are attacking Russian infantry in the Kursk region. Scouts discovered a cluster of Russian infantrymen at a training ground in the Zaporizhzhia region and requested a missile attack on the coordinates from the Tavria missile forces. Don't forget to like the video and comment on the images. You can support by subscribing. Destruction of Russian armored column in the Kharkov direction, 71st Brigade. The 79th Airborne Assault Brigade detected and destroyed the Russian Tor air defense system in Olenivka, near Donetsk. Almost successful but failed attempt of a Ukrainian FPV drone to shoot down a Ka-52 attack helicopter of the Russian Air Force in the Donetsk region. Masters of the Special Unit Wings of the Department of Active Operations of the Military District of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine discovered and destroyed a Russian artillery position in the Zaporizhzhia region. To eliminate the enemy target, the scouts used 2 Darts kamikaze aircraft with 3-kilogram combined ammunition and 3 Babai heavy FPVs with 1.5-kilogram cumulative shots. Russians are attacking on e-scooters. How Azov is stopping the assault in the Toretsk direction. A massive Russian assault with the use of atypical vehicles captured on video. 5 destroyed armored vehicles, 8 demolished SARs, 63 eliminated Russians, and 3 abandoned electric scooters. Those were the results of the enemy's failed assault on the positions of the 12th Special Forces Brigade Azov. Every day, Russian infantry tries to break through Ukrainian defense lines and gain a foothold in the half-destroyed buildings and basements or hide among the tree lines. Over the last few months of massive assaults, the enemy has lost many armored vehicles. That is why Russians are now widely using passenger cars, buggies, and even electric scooters. The video captures all types of Russian transport and their destruction. As is true for the whole front line, the enemy has a significant advantage in infantry numbers in the Toretsk sector. That is why the attempted assaults are stopped while the Russians approach the Ukrainian Defense Forces infantry positions. Watch the new video to see how the pilots, artillerymen, and command of the 12th Special Forces Brigade Azov coordinate their efforts. Ukrainian paratroopers carried out a drone attack on a vehicle in the direction of Kharkiv. The infantrymen in the vehicle drove away, entering a densely forested area. A second drone attack was carried out on the vehicle left by the infantrymen, and the vehicle was destroyed. A drone operator who noticed a Russian vehicle abandoned on the road but in working condition attacked and destroyed it. Ukrainian FPV drone paratroopers carried out a well-calculated attack on bunkers and warehouses. Even though the drones did not penetrate the bunker, they terrorized the people inside. The bunkers contain infantry and various military equipment. Since the explosives on the drones are not enough to blow up the bunkers, they cannot completely destroy the bunkers. A coal train has derailed in Yakutia in the Russian Federation. The incident occurred yesterday on the Elga-Ulak track, where 39 cars with coal derailed. 200 to 250 meters of track are blocked. A large amount of special equipment is needed to fix it. There seem to be a lot of derailments in Russia.
Локомотив 029 с 16-го разъезда применил экстренное торможение на 12 километрах в час.
The brave soldiers of the Griffin 501 FPV unit are using their trusty drones to take down Russian cannon fodder and their shelters on the territory of the so-called Young PRC. UAV operators of the 47th Mechanized Brigade continue to destroy Russian equipment and personnel in the Kursk region of Russia. Don't forget to like the video and comment on the images. You can support by subscribing. In the direction of Kurakov, Russian soldiers hid in a building. A soldier looking out of the window was attacked by an FPV drone. In modern warfare, you can be attacked by a drone at any moment, so you have to be much more careful. The mechanic of the Russian armored vehicle, retreating from the battlefield, faces his own friendly armored personnel carrier. After the collision and stops, both cars turn out to be a light target for Ukrainian kamikaze drones. After the Russian infantry fighting vehicle was spotted by Ukrainian paratroopers, it was immediately attacked in quick succession. The Russian vehicle, which then tried to hide in the bushes, was rendered unusable as a result of repeated drone strikes. US APC and Russian BMP vehicles were neutralized from these attacks. The tank turret toss world record is being disputed. We have kindly been informed of this competition entry from April 2023 by the 116th Brigade of the TRO. The judges are currently evaluating the various. The turret can be seen landing after a 8-second flight. Using S equals UT plus 1/2 AT squared, this could have reached a height of 78.5 meters, which would exceed the 76 meters of the previous entry. Soldiers of the demolition team in the Kursk region destroyed the following: a gun, a motorcycle, a cannon, a moving tank crashed, and many more. The 36th Marine Brigade repelled a Russian mechanized attack on buggies and quads in the Kursk region, a phenomenon occurring more and more places, a lack of armored vehicles, and Russians resorting to buggies, quads, and Lada/Niva-type vehicles. In the northern direction, Ukrainian border guards destroyed a Russian infantry fighting vehicle. The drone operator entered the vehicle with the door open and ensured that the vehicle was destroyed by fire. fighters of the 23rd Brigade showed footage of the defeat of the Russians, in particular west of Zelenivka, Deep State. On the southern face of Kurakovo, enemy infantry, supported by equipment, are attempting to advance in the Zelenivka area. They climb in the direction of Constantinople, Rozliv, and sometimes simply launch a mechanized column, which the Defense Forces fighters usually meet with FPV drones. The video also contains footage of many defeats in Rozdolna. After occupying the village, the enemy turned it into a kind of hub for the accumulation of infantry, which the Ukrainian military is chasing like locusts. This same infantry is getting fed up and trying to advance further, in particular in the direction of the village of Novi Komar, which they have set as their goal to completely take and gain a foothold. So the Defense Forces are doing everything possible to prevent this. But time will tell how the situation will develop. Location: Zelenivka. I understand better and better every day how effective weapons FPV drones are. I think they are the most powerful, fastest, and cheapest combat tool of modern warfare in land warfare. What do you think? Write your thoughts in the comments. Vehicles exploded, safe havens exploded, soldiers taking a break are attacked, a vehicle hiding in a bush is blown up, road mines were detonated, mission accomplished. He blew up the BMP with a precision strike in the Kharkiv region. The T-90M Russian tank could not get out of its hole and became an easy target for the drone. It was completely destroyed. In the direction of Kramatorsk, Ukrainian drone operators launched a FPV drone attack on a Russian armored vehicle and destroyed it. They also dropped bombs from the air. The moving vehicle was attacked by a drone and had to pull over to the side of the road. It was then completely destroyed as a result of the bombs dropped one after the other. M142, HIMARS hits Russian 39H6, Kosta 2E2 radar station in Donetsk region. In occupied Feodosia, drones hit not an ordinary oil depot, but an important transshipment hub for Russians. An oil port that can receive tankers with oil products all year round, store them and supply them to the entire occupied Crimea. In the event of serious damage, the logistics of oil products in the occupied Crimea will be shifted to railways and highways, which will greatly complicate it. In the Kursk region, drones of the 47th Mechanized Brigade are destroying all tanks, armored personnel carriers, motorcycles, and cars in their path. It takes a lot of skill to hit moving vehicles with pinpoint accuracy. These very small FPV drones are very fast and highly maneuverable. What you can see in this video are the actions of the Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a brigade directly supported by donations made by members of Warriors Ukrainian. 3 BMPs and 1 BBMs were destroyed by the drone pilots near Tsukurino and Novodmitrivka in the Pokrovsk direction in the Donetsk region of Ukraine. Soldiers of the 425th Separate Assault Battalion Scala land from an M2 Bradley IFV under cover of a smokescreen. The enemy begins shelling, but the vehicle enters the position and covers the neighboring landing with fire. After landing, the fighters proceed to the assault. One of them throws a smoke bomb, then accurately throws thermobaric grenades into the dugout. A fire starts inside. There is no movement. HIMARS strike on the 9T452 loading machine for the BM-27 Hurricane. The Russian vehicle, which wanted to advance towards Ukrainian positions, was attacked while continuing on its way after dropping off the soldiers. Although the soldiers got out of the vehicle and tried to hide in forested areas and shelters, they could not escape the drone attack. Drones can attack day and night, because drones have night vision and heat-sensitive cameras. In this way, it can easily see its target and carry out an accurate attack. Hiding in ruined houses does not seem enough to escape drones. Even if you are in an armored vehicle or tank, you may suddenly be attacked by a drone. If the drone is able to attack the engine part of the vehicle, it can cause considerable damage and completely destroy the vehicle. Attack using AASM-250 Hammer aerial bombs on positions with Russian soldiers in the Kharkiv region. The fire at the oil depot in Engels still cannot be extinguished. Operators of the 14th Regiment destroy the enemy's Tor air defense system, worth $25 million. Ukrainian tankers from the 59th Motorized Brigade shooting directly at Russian positions near Sukharine. Another massive attack on the position of the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade near Novi Komar. The enemy used a tank, 2 infantry fighting vehicles, and 1 armored personnel carrier. The place of the attack was generously mined in advance by our sappers. The armored personnel carrier, which was at the head of the column, exploded several times but continued to move. It stopped only when it caught fire from another mine. Ukrainian aviation drops a pair of bombs on the location of Russian troops in New York Donetsk region. Fighters of the 1st Brigade Burovy are working on the enemy on the southern outskirts of Kolesnikivka. The defense forces managed to thwart Muscovites' attempts to expand the zone of control in Kruglyakivka and Kolesnikivka village. The situation of Russian soldiers is critical. The situation near Lozovaya is more critical, on which the constantly exerted pressure occupied and is trying to continue developing its success. It is just as difficult now in the Pershatravnev area, where the does not stop its pressure in the direction of Kopanok. Toretsk, once a flourishing city, now wiped off the face of the earth. These night flashes were created with the help of Russian BM-21 Grad, a tank and an infantry fighting vehicle, which were blown up by fighters of the 68th Separate Hunter Brigade. 72nd Mechanized Brigade of AFU showed footage by its strike UAV operators working near Vuhledar. If you like our videos and the sound effects we add to them, please don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. The 65th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade's SUV was attacked immediately after being spotted by Ukrainian paratroopers. As a result of the drone attack, 2 Russian infantrymen got out of the damaged vehicle and ran into the woods to hide. They then tried to hide in the ruined bunker, but a second drone attack took place. Three rolls of equipment have been repulsed. For the assault in 3 rounds, the invaders attracted tanks, armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles, and MTLB. Units of the 3rd Assault immediately hit the column with drones and disabled some of the armored vehicles. The surviving tank that tried to break through was caught up with the FPV. 2 more tanks and a better hit stopped traffic, and on the move finished off those who wanted to escape. Numerical equipment was dismantled only by drones. Attacks were successfully repelled. Fighters Phantom from the anti-tank, Primus from the 1st Assault, fighters of the 2nd Assault, Revenge Group from the 1st Mechanized Battalion, and our BBS continue to destroy the enemy on Kharkiv region. The Ukrainian Bradley was hit by 2 ATGMs and an indirect hit, but continued to move. Let's watch how a small drone burns an armored vehicle with a small explosion. Footage of the defeat of the Russian assault groups, which tried to repulse the positions near the village of Kruglenko, Kursk Oblast. The Russian convoy was spotted by Ukrainian FPV drones and immediately attacked. Russian tanks were blown up one by one. Some lucky soldiers managed to escape at the last moment. They prayed to God at breakfast. In the Kharkiv region, several soldiers trying to hide in a damaged building were spotted by FPV drones, and the building was blown up in a drone attack. Soldiers were injured. The pickup truck used by the soldiers was neutralized. Fighters from the Bulava Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after the Black Zaporozhians, successfully destroyed a ground-based Russian drone. Ukrainian kamikaze drones hit Russian Bak-M3 and Bak-M1 air defense systems in the eastern direction. The Russian mechanized assault on the Kharkiv direction was crushed. The 79th Air Assault Brigade destroyed 2 tanks and 6 armored vehicles with infantry, and another enemy tank was damaged. Destruction of Russian BMD-4M in the Kursk region. The Ministry of Defense published a video of a direct artillery hit on a tank. Probably the entire crew lost their lives. A nighttime FPV drone strike on a Russian Panzer S-1 air defense system in the Kherson region. National Guardsmen destroy an enemy Buk-M1 air defense system with a precise strike from a UAV. North Korean 170mm Koksan self-propelled artillery systems in the Kursk region of Russia. North Korean artillery is now used to fire shells in mainland Europe. Kursk region is one of the few areas where Russians actively use armored vehicles, and they lose it. The Chimera unit hit an armored vehicle of the Ural military-industrial complex on the move and 2 BMDs. Another BMD was destroyed. The downing of a Russian Lancet drone. The moving motorcyclist and the tank were blown up by FPV drones. An armored vehicle hidden among the trees was also blown up. The old mobile service station was neutralized by drones immediately after detection. A Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 strikes a multi-story building housing Russian Armed Forces personnel in the settlement of Korobki, Kherson region, using an AASM-250 Hammer bomb. The 79th Air Assault Brigade working to repel an assault north of Uspanovka, the village in the Donetsk region. Ukrainian soldiers driving up to a building occupied by Russians in a Polish-built Onchipla APC and planting an explosive in the Toretsk area of the Donetsk region. Destroyed Hurricane, burned UAZs. The process of eliminating enemy targets continues, GUR. Soldiers of the Special Unit of the GURU of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Kabul 9, continue combat work at the front. A group of scouts in the Zaporizhzhia region discovered and destroyed a number of vehicles on which the occupiers were moving, as well as a Russian BM-27 Hurricane rocket launcher system. After defeating the FPV drone, the ammunition was detonated in the enemy MLRS. Fantastic detonation of ammunition of the Russian BMP-3 as a result of FPV drone strike in the Donetsk region. Spectacular footage of the defeat of the Russian BTR-82A by a strike from the Javelin ATGM in the Donetsk region. The Russian 203mm self-propelled gun Pion and its TZM were successfully deployed as a result of the defeat of 30 DPICM cluster missiles from the Rs 3 billion HIMARS. Heavy unmanned aerial vehicle Vampire of border guards of the Kramatorsk detachment brought warmth to the occupiers in the Vovchan direction at night. One long-range Lancet soldiers of the Central Security Service of Ukraine within the framework of the Heavenly Russo Riz program shot down a kamikaze drone Izdalie 51, which was flying to attack our people. The armed forces of Ukraine attacked the Russian marine oil terminal in Feodosia, occupied Crimea, General Staff. The Feodosia terminal is used in particular for the needs of the Russian army. Another turtle tank, this time called Native, was destroyed in the direction of Urozhain. It was easy to blow up the Russian tank, which alone in the middle of the field made it an easy target. Do you think the crew of the tank is alive? The occupiers published a video of how they hit the Kharkov region with Grad directly from the road in the Belgorod region.